welcome to this new episode of the Good Fortune for All podcast brought to you by tarotparlor.com. I'm Lou from Tarot Parlor, and here we discuss everything tarot predictions, but also manifestation and how it all works together, and we try to make sense of it all. So I just want to dive right in today and talk about timing, prediction with tarot, and manifestations and how it works, especially how timing can be a tricky little topic. And it does trip people up and it can be really problematic sometimes. All right, so basically, timing is the most difficult thing to work with, whether you're predicting with tarot or something else that you use. Or manifesting. So whatever your business is, business as in whatever keeps you busy spiritually, timing is probably at some point be a problem for you. And it doesn't have to be. So first I want to talk a little bit about my experience with timing and how I got to the point where I'm now. So I remember when I was younger, much younger, I was like a teenager. And my mom was a tarot reader, which is how I learned in the very beginning. She would do readings for me sometimes, and I remember I would get super frustrated because she would tell me things, give me predictions, and I was like, yeah, but when? But when? When? And she would get super uncomfortable because she was trying to tell me when. She was really trying, but she knew, and I only understand this now, well, I've been understanding it for a minute, but it took me growing up to understand that, she was trying, but she couldn't really give me a solid timeline and be really certain and confident about it every time. Her technique is very different from mine. We evolved differently over time. But right now I find myself, sitting where she used to sit, and I'm like, I can often predict kind of, sort of a timeline, if it's general enough. There's no way I can give you a date on when you're going to get married. There's no way I can tell you, what day of the week this is going to happen. And honestly, I don't think anyone can do that. Or maybe 5% of the time, Sometimes I get a really strong feeling of when this is going to happen for different reason, some kind of a feeling, like a psychic feeling, or because some information is clearly in the cards in a very clear manner. Because when it comes to tarot, of course, tarot is very, very strongly linked together with seasons, time of the year. So you can sometimes, for certain things, really see, okay, this is going to happen in the winter. This is going to happen around the time of harvest. So we're sometimes in the fall, and sometimes you can even tell, okay, yeah, this is definitely happening in October. But it's not always the case. And when it's not the case, I find it very counterproductive to push it. And some clients of mine sometimes really, really insist on having a date. And I understand, because sometimes when you want something real bad or when you need more information, it's just, you want to know when. You want to know when exactly, what, who, all these things. But that's not what tarot and that's not what manifesting is. And that's not how it works, in my experience. You might have a different experience, in which case I would love to hear about it. But yeah, so back to my train of thought. I usually really advise against setting deadlines and specific dates when you're predicting, as well as when you're manifesting. And it's even more important when you're manifesting, because setting a deadline can be really super toxic. I want to tell you exactly why in just a second. But I just want you to remember at this point that, life is an ongoing divine act of creation. There are no deadlines in the spiritual realm, because it exists by essence beyond what we experience here, beyond our time, beyond things that we can fathom and understand the way we do with our little human brain. Human brain is amazing, but it only works here on this very specific plane, and the things that we manifest and set in motions actually get orchestrated behind the scenes where we have no business and where deadlines have no business. So if you're stressed about the timing of manifestation, you're basically stressed about your manifestation, which means you're creating resistance. And as we know by now, this is a big no-no. And if you've done that, that's okay. You always have to go back to the place where it's okay, but you catch yourself and you get back on track. So just remember that timing is not in your hands. Like I said, manifesting is not your job. You set intentions, you decide and you choose and you sift through all the stuff of life and decide what you want. And you just set your intentions and then you let it happen. Some people have a process, like a manifesting process of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. All of that is valid, and at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing. Depends on how you slice it up in moments, big or small. But there's really just the setting intention, letting go, letting it be. That's it. That's what manifesting is. Now, you can cut it in, different, more specific parts, but that's what it is. You set your intentions, you let it go. Because, again, you're not orchestrating all the little things that need to happen for your manifestation to come to pass. And the universe does. So the faster you accept that, the faster your manifestation can actually come through and come to pass. Also, timing may change. Hence why it is so tricky to predict with tarot, right? Because based on your reactions, based on how you counter your own manifestations, how you add more desires and intentions to your list, everything can change. It doesn't have to change by like 5 years, but it can go from October to December. And that's okay. You have to be okay with it. But then you might be mad at your tarot reader. I'm literally not speaking from a place of experience here because I've never had a complaint so far. Knock on wood. Where some wood? Need to find wood. But I would understand that, if you get a tarot reading and they tell you something's going to happen in September and you're really looking forward to it, and comes November 1st, it still hasn't happened, it doesn't mean it's not happening. It may simply mean that timing has changed because of other things that you decided to add to the mix, which is fine. But it makes timing and predictions real tricky. It's just like, if I'm predicting that you are going to Waco, Texas, I don't know why, and you're headed that way, and that's your destination, but you decide, and you never told me about it, and it was a completely spur-of-the-moment kind of thing, to make a detour and take the back roads and see something else on the way, well, you're still going to Waco, Texas, but it's going to take you a little longer, and maybe on your way, you're going to decide, or you're just going to happen to, take a shortcut, and you're going to happen much faster. But it's still the same thing. The prediction is the same. You need to chill about the timing. And it's the same in everyday life. You go someplace, maybe there'll be traffic. Honestly, I'm not going to see the traffic in the cards. That's not how I use my cards. So anyway, so much for timing and tarot. Now, back to why I really advise against hard deadlines and setting time pressure on yourself. Deadlines are the epitome of limitedness. It's a limit. It is exactly like a limiting belief. It is exactly like saying, yeah, but it's a condition. Manifesting has to be unconditional. You should never try and manifest from a place of, yes, this, but only if I get this. I can get him back if this happens first. I can get this job if only this and that. No, you're slowing yourself down. You might even be blocking yourself. Timing is exactly the same. It's a condition. You want to just take it out of the picture. Now, also, time pressure creates resistance, as I said. And resistance always works against you because even if it's in the back of your mind, even if you're really good at letting go, if you set an intention with a deadline, you're going to be looking for that date. Even if it's subconscious at this point, you're going to have your eyes somehow on the calendar and be like, it's getting closer. Where's my manifestation? Boom, you're looking for it. You're manifesting lack. Your manifestations are divine acts of creation, like I said. So time is not relevant. It's not relevant to your highest self. Your highest self does not care. Your higher self is eternal. So your higher self doesn't care at all if you meet your husband this summer, this fall, or next winter. And if this is a stressful thing to you, well, there you have it. You already have, one of your issues being identified here. You're stressed because you have a little bit of a doubt and you're not okay without your manifestation. You need to be truly okay without your manifestation physically in your 3D because you know that it's already done. You're not sweating it. If I were now to be looking for my husband, I would be like, oh, I would love to be with him today. Am I meeting him in 2 years? All right, cool. I have so many things to do and this is done. I'm not worried about it. It's like I just paid rent. Well, I'm not thinking about rent anymore. I sent the money to my landlord. I'm good. We're square. We're good. I'm not going to think about rent every day of the month until it's time for the next rent. It's exactly the same. It's done. And timing should not even be a question. And a deadline, and that's really the most important part, a deadline actually implies that you believe that there is a chance, and maybe even a strong chance, that your manifestation will not happen. That's a very strong limiting belief. That's you saying yeah, I can have it, but if I don't have it by September 12th, I'm done with it and it's not happening. That is really working against yourself. That is actually a very, very strong sabotage move. Those are really, really good reasons why ideally don't set a deadline on your manifestation. And if you're asking for something that is by essence due within a certain time frame, the universe knows that. Your higher self knows that. You don't have to tell them. They're not dumb. And you don't want to be pushing against them yeah, but this has to happen before the end of the year because then they know. They know. Everybody knows. The universe knows. So it's implied. But don't put pressure on it. Just to recap, being stressed about time is usually a sign of doubts, a lack of faith in limiting beliefs. And it's kind of good if you catch yourself doing that because now you can correct it, But you don't want to live your manifesting life for years and years with this thing just slowing you down, because that's the thing. Timelines and deadlines will actually slow you down. And that's really ironic, but that's 100% what happens. So the sooner you let it go, the faster your manifestations will actually come to pass. And that's super exciting. And that's a simple thing. You're like, oh, I don't have to worry about that. This is less work for me, and I'm going to get better results. So that's amazing. Just do that. That's what I'm doing, and I swear to God, it works like a charm. I'm not saying that, set a manifestation to get your specific person back or whatever, and just be okay if you get it in 35 years. No, you don't have to wait that long. But technically, you need to be okay with just not knowing when. Just not knowing when. Because if the not knowing when for you equals the chance that it, 1, doesn't happen, or 2, happens in 40 years, again, lack of faith. Major lack of faith. So you need to work on that first before you can, really set good intentions and harvest, get what you want. And another thing is when you're looking at a date in the future, and that's really, really important. When you're looking at a date in the future, you're not in the now. You're not in the present moment. And the present moment is everything when you're manifesting. It's everything when you're meditating. It's everything when you're trying to harness the power of your mind. So, detach yourself from the outcome, detach yourself from the timing, and just know it's done. Seriously, that is all you have to do. And that's about it. So I hope this was helpful. There is a blog post on tarotparlor.com about this exactly, where I recap some of the whys in more detail. Sometimes it helps to just read it and see it. And you can also leave a comment there, which is always helpful for other people and for me because I love to hear about other people's experiences and tips and tricks and the way they do it. So feel free to go to tarotparlor.com, leave a comment on the blog. You can also get in touch with me for anything. I do coaching and tarot readings. It's just a lot of fun and it makes life so much better and easier. And I love it. And that's it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Have fun manifesting. Have fun reading your cards. And I'll see you soon.